I'm watching the performances of some of the top Spanish teams in Europe this week, and the poor outings from Real Madrid, Barcelona, and even Atletico Madrid last season. There's a notion floating around that the predominant, most effective style of play has evolved beyond the majority of La Liga clubs. Do you think that's true? Or does it just so happen to be a transitional period for La Liga clubs in the Champions League, and people are making more out of this than need be? Hey, I'm Adrian, and welcome to Rabona TV. If you're new to the channel and are interested in videos such as this one, explainers, live streams, and a weekend recap of European action uploaded every Monday, plus member-exclusive videos if you join the channel, don't forget to subscribe. But other than that, let's look at this claim that La Liga clubs are falling behind at the highest level, and you can judge as to whether there's any truth to it. This is another one of those sort of off-the-top videos, so we'll see how it goes. Basically, what people have been saying over the past few years is that Spanish football has been on the decline ever since Real Madrid's last Champions League title back in 2018. Prior to this, Spanish clubs had won the Champions League 7 out of the last 10 seasons. Not a bad performance. Of course, during the 2018-19 season, Real Madrid went out in the round of 16 against Ajax, Atletico went out in the round of 16 against Juve, and Barcelona had yet another collapse in the semi-finals though. In the following year, the 2019-20 season, no Spanish side made it past the quarterfinals. For the second consecutive season, Real Madrid were knocked out in the round of 16. Barcelona were embarrassed once again, 8-2 from Bayern, this time in the quarterfinals, and Atletico Madrid were knocked out by Leipzig, also in the quarterfinals. That's 2 seasons of sharp decline when it comes to the performances of Spanish clubs in the competition, bar that semi-final that Barcelona made against Liverpool, but the fashion in which they were eliminated, very uninspiring, embarrassing to say the least. And so this season, we are yet to see Real Madrid play against Atalanta, but it hasn't been a banner year for them as they deal with injuries and players being out of form. We also haven't seen Atletico yet as they are facing Chelsea next week. But Barcelona were destroyed in the Camp Nou by PSG in their own home as they started the match well, but PSG's physicality and pace seemed to take them further and further away from Barcelona as the match went on, let alone their fitness. If they don't turn it around against PSG in the second leg, which seems likely that they won't, they'll go out before the quarterfinals for the first time since 2007. The same could be said of the Borussia Dortmund versus Sevilla match. Dortmund stormed past Sevilla with their counter-attacking football, looking far more robust most of the time. Their own deficiencies, such as defending from set pieces, now infamous, ultimately handing Sevilla a lifeline. And we saw a similar scenario in the Europa League. This is an aside, but in which Real Sociedad were absolutely destroyed by a rapid United side that could run through them at will. This all plays into the narrative that is being pushed at the moment. You add to the fact that Sevilla came into this meeting with Borussia Dortmund as a team that had won 9 consecutive matches and hadn't conceded in 7. This is one of the best clubs you could pick to represent La Liga in this moment, and yet they were beaten on their own turf by a Borussia Dortmund side that is facing the legitimate risk of missing out on the Champions League places for next season, having won just 1 of their last 6 matches now. So, what are some factors here? Why is this happening to Spain all of a sudden? To start, I do actually believe that Atletico Madrid will do fairly well in this competition because of all the changes they made to their approach. Their newfound 3-4-1-2 or 3-4-2-1, depending who is on the pitch, has paid off as they have retained their defensive solidity and have added Luis Suarez to give their attack the bite it has been dying for. No pun intended, but pun intended, we'll say. But they are sort of the exception of the big 3 clubs out of Spain, I find. As for Sevilla, they managed to make it past the round of 16 just once in the last 60 years, and they may yet turn it around, but the conflicting styles was glaring against Borussia Dortmund. On top of that, I don't think their pedigree in the Europa League can necessarily be ignored, but you end up in the Europa League year over year for a reason. Those reasons being that you either crashed out in the group stage of the Champions League, i.e. you didn't cut it in the Champions League, or you failed to make top 4 in La Liga. Considering we're mostly focusing on the Champions League performance of La Liga clubs, this doesn't work in their favor too much. When it comes to Real Madrid, it seems like it's a case of, all good things must come to an end, because 4 European Cups, or Champions League titles, sorry, I'm going old school for some reason, in 5 seasons is certainly a very, very good thing. They tried to take a bit of a different direction after Zidane left, but with his return, he's gone back to relying on the good old boys, the guys that delivered him that run of Champions League trophies, while newer recruits have, in my opinion, largely failed to integrate themselves within the Real Madrid squad. Is that a recruitment issue? Possibly. Is that simply a reluctance from Zidane to allow players to establish themselves, to gain his trust? Like with a lot of things, I'm sure the truth is somewhere in the middle. As for Barcelona, they've been a shining example of how to not run a club thanks to the Bartomeu fiasco. They turned away, at least a little bit, from La Masia, financial ruin, the selling of key players while bringing in others that haven't been a fit, and most recently, a run of managers that, through no fault of their own, haven't been able to reach the heights that Guardiola and Luis Enrique managed with the club. To be fair, Guardiola, especially, will probably go down as one of the best managers of all time. The mismanagement of the squad reaches even further than poor recruitment, though, or perhaps this point is a byproduct of that poor recruitment. Looking at Barcelona in particular, there were 3 players on the pitch against PSG recently that had all started in the Champions League final from 2009, 12 years ago. Messi, Busquets, and Piqué. 3 players that are still integral to Barcelona, and that in itself is a problem. Messi is 33, Busquets is 32, and Piqué 34. Playing older players isn't a problem inherently, but a reliance on them because there are no worthy players behind them, that is a problem. And squads need refreshing, regular refreshing to ensure that the levels don't drop, to keep everyone honest. Well, in the case of Messi, it's a bit of a different story, I guess, as you'd be hard pressed to find players that can replace him and do way better than him consistently. But like it or not, and whether the Messi and Ronaldo camps want to believe it or not, or admit it, I should say, both Messi and Ronaldo are on the decline. And those matches that Messi and Ronaldo could turn on their heads single-handedly are getting fewer and further between, especially at a European level. Enough Ronaldo though, he's not in Spain anymore. In some ways, you have a similar issue at Real Madrid when it comes to Sergio Ramos, as their back line looks fragile without him. I mean, respect to Nacho and Varane, but the solidity that Real Madrid exhibited in the final stretch of La Liga last season, grinding out 1-goal wins, they haven't found that as easy to come by. I mean, in comparison to last season, after 23 matches, they had conceded 14 goals. This season, they're at 19. Not a huge difference, but without Sergio Ramos, they have Varane, Militão, who's been not great, Nacho. Perhaps the more worrying end of things is the midfield and the attack. Without Benzema out there, you wonder who will provide the attacking verve for them. Attacker after attacker, winger after winger have all been signed, and many have failed to provide what Benzema does. How can they rely on 35-year-old Luka Modric to spark the midfield forever? You know? You take these aging veterans out of these Barcelona and Real Madrid squads, and who are their rightful heirs at this moment? At Barcelona, perhaps Ansu Fati, as he's shown he can be a difference maker when he's on the pitch. De Jong is a worthy replacement for Busquets. Pedri has shown signs as well, but even with that taken into account, and the loss of Piqué in defense, of course, Barcelona goes from what was an excellent team, a benchmark team, to now an average one. At the continental level, that is. And the same could be said of Real Madrid. And then there's the question of if the Spanish style is too slow for the modern game, whether it's possession-based, slow build-up, trying to pick apart your opponent. You compare that to the direction the rest of Europe is moving in, and this style seemingly gets overwhelmed. Look at Real Madrid's struggles against Shakhtar. Look at all of Barcelona's struggles lately. Look at Sevilla against Dortmund. It does well and truly feel like Spanish football is on a bit of a decline at the moment. Perhaps Atletico Madrid can be the saviors of that. I don't know, as they seem like they could be a dark horse this season in the Champions League. And hey, maybe Real Madrid will destroy Atalanta. Who knows? But it really does feel like a cycle has come to an end, that a shake-up is needed in Spain, and an adaptation of sorts is necessary in order for Spanish football to thrive again. My opinion alert, I think there's a middle path. There's always a middle path. It's not always two extremes, black or white. Did Spanish football boast some of the best, most dominant sides at a continental level for the better part of the last couple of decades? Yes. Did they also boast two of the best players of all time that would have helped bail them out at times and make up for some deficiencies that they would have had? Yes, absolutely. Has the style of football that is effective now evolved in a way that isn't necessarily being played by Spanish clubs? That's also true. Has the mismanagement of these clubs and their squads hurt them? And has the over-reliance on older players hurt them when playing at a continental level as of late? While more teams are focusing on faster, younger players, yes, I believe that's true as well. Like they always say, it's easier to chase the team at the top than it is to stay there. And it seems like, while they had a good run at the top, they couldn't hold out any longer. Like I often mention, I think I've said this in a few videos now, but I always think back to that quote from Game of Thrones. Lannister, Targaryen, Baratheon, Stark, Tyrell, they're all just spokes on a wheel. This one's on top, then that one's on top, and on it spins, crushing those on the ground. I think that the same can be said in football. Italy had their heyday on top. English clubs come and go from the top. Spain dominated, and now, for the moment, it's looking like England and Germany may wrestle for domination. And hey, maybe throw PSG into the ring as well. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, then do be sure to drop a like for me, and please let me know your take on this matter. My name's Adrian, this is Rabona TV. Do subscribe if you're new, and have a great weekend. Ciao.